Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Courtney Neubauer, and I work for the Division of Nutrition Support. Today, we are going to resume with our nutrition support monthly call for October. I think of October 1st as being the true beginning to fall, which is absolutely my favorite season. In addition, October 1st is also the day that if I have not purchased Halloween costumes for my children, I am officially late. So fall and Halloween and the start of the holiday season is just such an exciting time in my life. So I am hoping that that is also the same for most of you. And that you are looking forward to this cooler weather and enjoying the possibility of us feeling like it's fall in addition to it being October. So to start, we are going to cover some of the similar topics that we've covered before. We'll go over the state oversight plan, the updates with the child nutrition emergency cost guidance, PEBT local level funding. We will also touch on our child nutrition program website redesign. So if you've visited our website in the last hour, you may have seen something very different. So we're going to touch on that. Also, the school year 21-22 waivers, school year 21-22 operational updates. Going to also touch on the unanticipated school closure waivers that came out week before last or last week. We'll also go over trainings and then other program updates. Before we get started with our agenda, I also wanted to remind all of you that this is a National Farm to School Month. So October is National Farm to School Month. I encourage all of you to take the Louisiana Farm to School Challenge and share your experiences with others. Also, please follow our Seeds to Success page on Facebook, also the Seeds to Success website. And before we get started, we're also going to play a video.
Seeds to Success is the Louisiana Farm to School program.
You know, there's three components to Farm to School. One aspect is gardening, growing food in schools. The other is bringing food into schools, and then the curriculum piece.
The ideals of what Farm to School is far beyond food products going to school. It has to do with education, about learning, about all the experiences that come.
Seeds to Success can be used by everyone in the state. It's a very dynamic program. There's a lot of resources.
Louisiana has such a food culture, which is a beautiful thing. But unfortunately, we also have a major issue with obesity. Having a way to address that in childhood to hopefully prevent it for our adult population, to me, is like, it's a no-brainer.
Children don't know where their food comes from. They think it comes from the store. They often think it comes already packaged.
You're missing a lot of things that, that sometimes your parents are working, they don't have time, they just go in the store and buy whatever they need. They're missing how vegetables are grown, how they're created.
The school gardening piece, to me, I think it's a life skill that everybody should know how to grow food. Every school should have a school garden, and that it should be part of the curriculum.
And so what school gardens make possible for the teachers is that they can get the kids to plant the seeds in the classroom. They can see the seeds sprout, see it come and have some fruit on it. They have a feeling of confidence and competence when they're able to grow their own food.
Also, what gardening does with kids is that it gets them to try new things. If they'll grow it, they'll eat it.
And I think it's important getting kids in the garden because it's happy to see.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little piece of one of the really great promotional videos that we have that have been produced. They are located on the Seeds to Success website. So I encourage you to visit the website, and also on Facebook, you will continue to see other videos throughout Farm to School Month. So I encourage you to follow Seeds to Success on Facebook as well. So now we'll start going over some of our agenda items. So to start, we'll go over where we are with our state oversight plan as we move into school year 21-22. So CN Resource is going to send an email. So actually you all received an email. If you're scheduled for administrative review, you received an email from me on Friday. So that was that great Happy Friday email that most of you saw and thought this is not a very happy email to receive on a Friday. But we did go ahead and send those out. We are tentatively planning to start our reviews mid-November. CN Resource and Louisiana Department of Education are planning an administrative review training, and that training is scheduled for October 19th. At this time, our administrative reviews will be conducted off-site. Site visits will be virtual until it is safe to resume in-person site reviews. And at this time, we do not know when that would be, so we are anticipating the reviews to be conducted off-site with virtual site visits. The administrative review schedule has been updated to reflect the technical assistance visits that were conducted in school year 2021. The dates of the reviews have not been determined yet, but we do anticipate that the dates will be determined sometime near that training that we're going to have on October the 19th. So, like I said, we are encouraging you to come to our training that we're having on October the 19th. Registration is on Louisiana Fit Kids. If you were up for review, you received an email from me, and then you will also have some more information coming from CN Resource in the next couple of weeks. But I do encourage you to look at memo SFS 22-01, which is the flyer related to the preparing for your administrative review training. Any school systems that are not up for review this year do not need to attend this training, but you are welcome to sign up and attend if you would like to. So based on some of the flexibility that's already been provided from USDA, we have the ability to still conduct those administrative reviews if school systems are operating seamless summer. So we are intending to conduct reviews for all of the school systems that were originally scheduled for review last school year that now are going to have reviews this school year. And that includes anybody that's operating seamless summer, or if you're operating traditional national school lunch. So with minor modifications, the administrative review can happen this school year. And then we have postponed our reviews from last school year 2021. They're postponed to this school year, 21-22. And then our reviews that were originally planned for school year 21-22 will now occur in school year 22-23. We also have the waiver of the on-site monitoring requirements, which allows for the on-site portion of the administrative review to be conducted through off-site means, which is why we are going to go ahead and do so. This waiver also allows for SFAs to conduct their own on-site monitoring reviews of the school systems. That on-site monitoring review that is typically due by February 1st, you can also conduct that through off-site means. And do note the monitoring requirements for school systems that are participating in the seamless summer option are the exact same as the monitoring requirements for national school lunch. So that monitoring form that is required by February 1st is also going to be required for by school systems that are operating the seamless summer option. There's also a waiver for CACFP that allows for the on-site portion of the monitoring review to be conducted through off-site means as well. And both of these waivers of the on-site monitoring piece are effective until 30 days after the end of the public health emergency. And we do not know when that will be. So at this point, we're just anticipating that the reviews will be conducted off-site until we hear otherwise about the end of the public health emergency. We'll now move to the child nutrition emergency cost guidance. So we've touched on this many times, and the emergency operational costs are meant to provide additional funding for child nutrition program operators who saw a decrease in revenue or saw a service interruption due to the early days of the public health emergency. This relief is intended to address funding shortfalls. It's not intended to address increased costs. So if a school system had higher reimbursement throughout the months of March, April, May, and June of 2020, as we compared to 2019, those school systems did not receive additional funding. So the payment formula is tied to the past reimbursement, and funding must be deposited in the nonprofit food service account and used in accordance with normal program operation. So it has to be spent on traditional allowable costs. USDA published guidance and questions and answers regarding the Child Nutrition Program emergency costs in January. And you can also see memo SFS 21-83, which had information on that. USDA released additional implementation plan guidance in March. And then there was a third questions and answers that was released in August. We did also host a training regarding emergency costs in April, and the recording and slides are available on Louisiana Fit Kids. School systems that operated CACFP, in addition to National School Lunch, could have received two payments. The first payment that was received would have been the school food service emergency operational costs, and that payment contained the comment CNP emerge cost in the LaGov payment system, and that payment was issued on August 26th. Any school system that also received payment under CACFP Emergency Operational Cost Program received those payments on August 27th, and the comment for that payment was CNP Emerge CACFP in the LaGov payment system. We also posted a few memos, so memo SFS 21-X225, and then we also posted memo SFS 21-X238 with information about these payments. We're getting a lot of questions about what to do with these funds once they are deposited. So once deposited, the emergency operational cost funds do not need to be tracked separately from other funds in the nonprofit food service account. So the funds are interchangeable. So it would be the same as your funding from a reimbursement for any particular month. The funds should be treated as fiscal year 2021 funding, and that is in line with the award date, which was September 30th, and the ending of the same fiscal year. So that date of September 30th is what puts that into fiscal year 2021 funding. Program operators must maintain documentation to ensure funds are used solely for allowable program costs, as they would under any other circumstances. The CFDA number for this emergency cost funding matches the program CFDA numbers. So for National School Lunch Program, that's 10.555, and for CACFP, that is 10.558. This payment was a one-time payment per program. So there's one payment for school food service, and then there was a different payment for CACFP. The calculation was based on a USDA formula, which compared reimbursements from the months of March, April, May, and June 2020, and compared that to those same reimbursements that received in the same months in 2019. The payment formula overview, so 55% of the difference between reimbursements for the months of April, May, and June were used, and that was compared to the same months in 2019. For March 2020, the payment was half of 55% of the difference between March 2020 and March 2019. So since the pandemic occurred somewhere around mid-March, that payment was slightly different for March, and half of that calculation is what was used to determine the payment amount. And the calculations were made on a month-by-month basis. So we looked at each month individually, and once we did that, we added those amounts together for the final payment. The next topic will be PEBT and local level funding for schools. DCFS has developed a suggested communication for schools. This document can help with communication to parents when they're requesting address or mode of instruction changes. These resources can assist schools with communication regarding PEBT questions and benefit updates. We do know that PEBT will be around for school year 21-22 and for summer 2022. We do not know if it will be here after that, but I do encourage school systems to really make sure that you're capturing the information, and this is more for the data managers, but you can help relay that message to them. Make sure you're capturing the information for that mode of instruction. So the hybrid and virtual mode of instruction will still be used for determining PEBT benefits for school year 21-22. Parents should be directed to the parent portal for viewing and managing all of their children's PEBT benefit cases. The portal can assist families with determining if they're going to receive benefits, what the amount of the benefit would be, and if and when additional funds have been added to their card. School systems can provide this link and information about the new portal to parents to help lessen the number of calls and questions regarding benefits. DCFS also released a PEBT admin portal, and this portal provides features for schools to upload spreadsheets, fix exceptions and data errors, edit certain case details and student data, edit details on affiliated schools, add a new affiliated school, and then search for student details associated to benefits that have been issued. To access the PEBT admin portal, school data managers need a myla.gov account. If additional staff need access, you can work with your data manager and they can assist with getting you access through the avenues within the state. So the Division of Administration and DCFS are handling the management of this portal. Summer data files. So summer PEBT data was due on August 27th. That was right before Hurricane Ida hit. And so they are still accepting summer files to be submitted through the PEBT administrative portal. All schools need to submit summer files for all students who were not part of the original submission that they requested in May. So to qualify for summer benefits, the child has to have attended the school at least one day in the month of May, and that the school participates in the National School Lunch Program, or they need to, and then they also need to qualify individually. And so for the summer PEBT benefits, it's not related to the mode of instruction. It is only related to the whether this child qualifies. So they either need to attend a CEP school or qualify with a free or reduced price application or their direct certification, but that mode of instruction will not be a factor here. So we're getting a lot of questions because there are some kids who may have already received benefits for summer and then others that have not. So if the child was hybrid or virtual throughout the school year, that data was already submitted to DCFS in May. So they were able to use that information to go ahead and submit the summer benefits. And so it's those other children that may have been all in person that may not have received their summer benefits yet. So do make sure those files are being submitted. And that may be why, why they're going to receive these summer, why they haven't received their summer benefits yet. So EdTech and DCFS are continuing to reach out to data managers and superintendents who have not submitted summer benefits. All files must be submitted through the new admin portal. And if the LEA did submit the data and they don't see the cases for the students that they submitted, they can contact dcfs.pebtsupport@la.gov. DCFS is also keeping an updated list on their website of schools who have completed, are in process, or have not completed submitting the files, and you can access that link. And if a school status is incorrect on that list, they can contact Carol Mosley at la.gov. And the link to the portal is also listed here. PEBT local level funding. So this is in addition to the benefits that are issued to students. There's also benefits that were awarded to the school systems themselves. And so those funds are related to fiscal year 2021 state PEBT benefits. We at LDOE were responsible for administering those funds. The funds were meant to support PEBT activities that occurred during October 2020 and September 2021 in conjunction with PEBT benefits for school year 2021 and summer 2021. Districts that used Seamless Summer or Summer Food Service in place of National School Lunch Program are also eligible. And these activities include but are not limited to student level data, school level learning models, if you were tracking any of that, fielding questions from the community, and also collecting and processing applications that may have been solely for the PEBT. There is not currently a new deadline for submitting PEBT for summer, but you need to get that in as soon as possible. They are continuing to update that and release those funds out to the families. The sooner you can get that information from your data management managers into the system, the sooner, hopefully the questions about when will those benefits be issued from the parents will resolve. So I encourage you to get that done as quickly as possible. So USDA allowed for there to be an alternative way to collect, to issue funds to local level agencies instead of having them submit cost proposals and documents to support what was spent. So instead of submitting a request, we had the flexibility to award a specific dollar amount to all eligible entities based on the number of PEBT eligible children. So they said that that all program related costs must be documented and supportable unless Flexibility 1 was used. And in Louisiana, we chose to use that Flexibility 1 for all of our SFAs. And so we have documented the tiered level of payment that we have submitted to the school systems. Payments contain the comment FNS, PEBT, LOC, ADM in the LaGov payment system. They were issued on 9/9. The CFDA number for the PEBT local level funding is 10.649. And you can see memo SFS 21-X226 for payment. So the funding amount is based off this chart that's on this slide. If there were less than 1,000 PEBT eligible children. So that's your free and reduced population. If there were less than 1,000, then the payment amount was $614. There's between 1,000 and 1,001 and 5,000, then the payment amount was $3,063. And if there were over 5,001 students that were PEBT eligible, then the payment amount was $5,814. Now we'll go and look at our new CNP website redesign. So we are using the same website address, and it will just have new and improved functionality. If you visited our website in the last hour, you saw the changes which have already been implemented. So the new website has gone live. If you have questions or comments related to the website, you can contact us at childnutritionprograms@la.gov. You can also provide examples of what functionality you may need. So as we're continuing to update and build this, if there's something you wish that we had, let us know. Not quite sure if we'll be able to accommodate all requests, but if there's something you're really dying to see, please reach out to us, and we would be happy to help you and get those accommodations that you are asking for the website. This is what the website looks like. So when you go to cmp.doe.louisiana.gov, you're now going to see this new and improved website. It has our programs that are listed here. So our 3 major programs, CACFP, School Food Service, and SFSP. So they're all listed here. You can sign in at the corner. So that's going to be where the sign-in box is. So why have we done this? We are trying to update the website. So our website has looked very similar to the way it has been for many, many years. And we're trying to bring something new and exciting. We've looked at other state agency websites all over the country. We've tried to reorganize the information to make it easier to find. We've created a consistent flow between all our programs. So whenever you look over the different programs between CACFP and summer feeding and school lunch, they're all going to look very consistent. And the website was intended to go live yesterday, but it did go live earlier today. So it is now live. So to keep it simple, you're going to use the same web address. You'll still be able to access your login to the CMP online system. So the location or the part of the application where you submit claims and your online applications are all going to look exactly the same as they have. So we have not changed that part of the website. The non-discrimination statement is displayed in 4 languages on the front page. We also have direct links to Louisiana Fit Kids, CN Resource, and also USDA, and we have easy access to all of our programs. So each of the programs have an overview section. They also have civil rights information, regulatory guidance, new sponsor information, and resources with tons of direct links to USDA resources. So when you go to the website, at the top, you can click Login. And when you click Login, it's going to take you back to the login screen that you are familiar with of how you would log into the website now. Once you click Sign In, you'll be able to go to the CMP website. If you were a family daycare home provider, you'd be able to go to that part of the website. And there's also a link for you to log on to eScholar. If you're not quite ready to move to our resources underneath each of the different sections, you can also click on resources on the front page, and it will bring you to the resources and memo section, which you are already familiar with. You also can click at the bottom and you'll see that those memos and resources are linked there, and you'll be able to click that and get to the memos and resources that you're most familiar with. Also, as a tip, October 1, not only being the start of my fall, it's also the start of the new fiscal year. So memos are now posted under year 2022. So if you're looking for most recent memos since Friday, they're now posted under the year 2022 because the fiscal year has changed. We're also going to now talk about just the school year 21-22 waivers. So just a summary of all the waivers that are still available. So these are the ones that you're familiar with: the seamless summer option through school year 21-22, the waiver to allow summer food service program reimbursement rates in school year 21-22, the nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate meal service, the nationwide waiver of mealtime flexibility, the nationwide waiver to allow parents and guardians to pick up meals, the waiver to allow specific school meal pattern flexibilities, the waiver to allow specific meal pattern flexibilities in the CACFP program, the waiver to allow offer versus serve for senior high school students, waiver of area eligibility in after-school programs, the waiver of on-site monitoring in the school meals programs, the waiver of the on-site monitoring requirements for state agencies, and then also the nationwide waiver of the monitoring requirements for sponsors in the CACFP program. All of the opt-ins are under the school year 21-22 waiver, which is part of the National School Lunch application. There's also a waiver section of the CACFP website, their application as well. So if you are operating CACFP for at-risk meals, you also will have an opt-in for waivers under CACFP. So the waiver to allow the seamless summer option through school year 21-22, this is good for the entire school year. And this flexibility is available to all SFAs, including residential childcare institutions. And any school that operates seamless summer during their regular school year can serve meals at no charge. And you can operate either on a closed enrolled or an open site. And if you're an open site, then you could serve children, any children under the age of 18. Meals do not need to be counted and claimed by eligibility category. You can do know that you can only claim 2 meals under seamless summer. That is traditionally breakfast and lunch. So most of our school systems do serve breakfast and lunch. So you would claim that under seamless summer. If you are doing an after-school snack or supper program, that would be claimed either under National School Lunch after-school snack program or CACFP at-risk meals for school year 21-22. The waiver to allow the higher summer food service reimbursement rates, that's also good for the entire school year. And if you choose to operate just traditional National School Lunch and not the seamless summer option, you will not receive the higher reimbursement rates. So only the school systems or residential childcare institutions that have elected to serve seamless summer and submitted that application will receive the higher reimbursement rates, but the reimbursement rates for this seamless summer program, when you're receiving those higher summer food service reimbursement rates, are listed here. So the breakfast rate is 2.4625 and lunch is 4.3175. And on the claim, you'll notice that it's identified by the XXII waiver as how those will distinguish. So when you're looking at your claim, if you have elected to use that waiver and you've submitted that application, then on the claim, you should see that the meals are being reimbursed at this particular rate, which will be identified as that XXII waiver. There are other flexibilities that are also available, and those are the non-congregate meal waiver, the mealtime flexibility, parent guardian pickup, and offer versus serve flexibility. USDA does encourage that local operators only use these waivers for the duration and extent necessary. USDA encourages SFAs to return to normal meal service operations when it's safe to do so. And also, once it is safe to resume a congregate meal service, program operators should end bulk or bundled meal distribution. The next waiver that we're going to go over is the waiver to allow specific school meal pattern flexibilities. And this waiver is good from October 1 through June 30th. We did have another waiver that allowed broader meal pattern flexibilities through September 30th, but that has now expired. So with justification, specific meal pattern requirements are waived to allow program operators to serve meals that may not meet the nutrition standards. The specific school meal pattern flexibilities that can be applied for are listed here. So menus that meet the dietary specification for sodium. So do remember that sodium was intended to now be at target 2, which is stricter than what you're used to. So most school systems are not ready to implement target 2. They're wanting to stay on at least target 1. So I would expect that everybody would need to apply for this, this sodium waiver. And when we're reviewing applications, if a school system has not elected the sodium waiver, we are reaching out to you to confirm that you are wishing not to elect that waiver. The other meal pattern waiver includes all of these other areas. So that grains offered must be whole grain rich. Remember, at this point, all of our whole grains are intended to be whole grain rich. That preschoolers at least 1 serving per day across all eating occasions must be whole grain rich. To offer a variety of vegetable from the vegetable subgroups, to offer a variety of at least 2 different options of fluid milk. That low-fat milk must be unflavored, and to plan menus and offer food components for specific age grade groups in the stated combinations. And we will approve each of these requests on a case-by-case basis. So all other meal pattern requirements remain in effect, and they are all, USDA is offering these specific flexibilities to support schools as they offer alternative meal service models. The specific meal pattern waiver does not allow SFAs to not serve an entire component, to serve less than the required amounts to meet the daily and weekly requirements. And it was not originally intended to provide flexibilities due to product shortages or delivery issues. Since that initial waiver came out, we have, of course, noticed the huge strain on the supply chain, and there, where we thought we would be at this point in the school year with supply chain, it has really just been dramatically affected. And so recently, USDA came out with an additional waiver, which waiver to allow fiscal action flexibility for meal pattern violations. So typically, when a school system is missing a food component or production records on administrative review, or they have repeat findings related to milk type and vegetable subgroups, the state is supposed to assess fiscal action. USDA has now released a waiver that allows states to consider all of the information that's available to us that shows a supply chain disruption, and that we have the flexibility to not assess fiscal action on school systems as part of administrative review. So this should be kind of just an opportunity for you to just kind of breathe and say, okay, we still expect school systems to do the absolute best that they can to meet their requirements. But also, if there are issues with all of the requirements related to the meal pattern, and you have supported documentation to support that, then we would have the ability to not assess the fiscal action as part of the review. There's also a waiver for CACFP that has specific meal pattern flexibilities as well. And so if you are looking to apply for those flexibilities, that would be under the CACFP at-risk application. The specific CACFP meal pattern flexibilities that are available, that at least 1 serving per day of grain must be whole grain rich, that crediting of grains be by ounce equivalent by October 1st, which was Friday, and that low-fat milk must be unflavored. So currently, we are approving meal pattern waivers only through December 31st, 2021. And this includes previously submitted and approved meal pattern waivers. If supply chain issues continue after December 31st, you can extend that waiver request at that time. Do make sure that you're maintaining documentation on file for any unforeseen vendor issue, any delivery shortage that prevents you from meeting the meal pattern. You do not need to send us that documentation, but do hold on to that and maintain that on file should it be needed to be reviewed at a later date. So we recently posted a memo, I believe it went out yesterday, and that the new memo is related to multiple food items that also now credit as either grains or vegetable. But this was a very, very old memo. It's actually SFS 19-X179 was the original waiver. But one thing that's mixed in this particular memo is that grits, all grits, even those that are not labeled whole grain grits, can credit toward the grain component as a whole grain rich food. And so there's also other things like coconut and other things that are listed. I can't think of everything that's in that memo right now, but it was posted yesterday. But just as a reminder, since this is something that we, received but may have scanned over and overlooked, that grits, even those that are not labeled whole grain grits, are considered a whole grain rich food. Now we'll touch on the school year 21-22 operational updates. So claiming, if you're operating under regular national school lunch, school breakfast, for breakfast, lunch, and snack, you'll claim those as usual under the National School Lunch, School Breakfast claim. And this is the white part of the claim. If you're operating seamless summer for breakfast and lunch, and you're also operating after school snack, then you would claim breakfast and lunch under the seamless summer section, which is the green section, and you would claim snack under the regular National School Lunch section. The claiming has been a concern for many of our sponsors. We're finding that the claim has been entered incorrectly for numerous sponsors, and we're assisting that through that process. There should be no double entry of breakfast or lunch meals under both the white section and the green section. So breakfast and lunch should be only inputted once. If you're operating seamless summer, that should be in the green section. If you're operating traditional national school lunch, that would be in the white section. We are working to come up with some short how-to videos to help with this. And those hopefully will be developed and ready very soon. If you have questions with your claim, please reach out to us, but there should be no double entry in the claim for breakfast and lunch. So to date, there have been 4 questions and answer memos related to operations for school year 21-22. The first was a general questions and answers regarding operations for school year 21-22. The second was a previously issued questions and answers that was brought back for school year 21-22. The third was a memo specifically for questions and answers related to CEP operations. And then the fourth, which was just released, is the new questions and answers. Is actually questions and answers number 2 for school year 21-22. Some of the areas that were discussed in this most recent questions and answers were weekend and holiday meals. So SFAs may not provide weekend and holiday meals through seamless summer when school is in session during the regular school year, unless that weekend instruction is considered an integral part of the required curriculum. And weekend and holiday meals may may be provided through CACFP at-risk after-school meals in school year 21-22. If an RCCI is operating under the seamless summer, they are allowed to claim weekend and holiday meals, and that is because residential childcare institutions are reimbursed on a per day of operation basis and have traditionally been reimbursed for meals served on weekends and holidays. So if they operate seamless summer, they can also serve those meals on weekends and holidays, and those meals would be reimbursed at the summer food service rate. This is the first time we've seen an answer from USDA regarding virtual schools. So the new questions and answers has states that the waiver to allow seamless summer option through school year 21-22 was made available to SFAs that are responsible for administration of meal service at national school lunch participating schools. Virtual academies do not offer meal service operated by an SFA and are not authorized to provide seamless summer option pursuant to the waiver. However, students who attend a virtual academy are allowed to pick up meals at an open site. Our online application, so we do have a few school systems who have not submitted their online application. They are past due. You need to get it in as soon as possible. We are in the month of October, and so many of you are going to be claiming meals for the month of August. And if you want to do so, you need to get those applications in so we can get them approved before your 60th calendar day, which will be toward the end of October. So it is very, very important that those applications come in as soon as possible if you have not submitted that yet. Application revisions are needed anytime there's a change to operations. So this includes mealtime changes, if you're adding snack, any calendar updates. Also, please refer to important due dates, which is posted on the resources section for upcoming deadlines. So meal applications and seamless summer. So the school meal application is used to determine eligibility for free or reduced price meals. It also, by extension, determines eligibility for PEBT. SFAs must make applications available as needed to certify children for free and reduced price meals, and then in turn qualify newly eligible children for PEBT benefits for school year 21-22 and summer 2022. We have forms on our website and they're updated. They're under the forms section on the CMP website. They're updated free and reduced materials. All SFAs operating seamless summer, even those that are not planning to process applications, are still required to use eScholar to directly certify students. Updates are still available monthly. You must still notify households of their direct certification eligibility. And we have templates on our website, and the August file is available in eScholar. And I would expect that September will be available very, very soon. So verification has officially started. So if you collected any applications in school year 21-22, you are required to conduct verification, regardless of the region the applications were collected. Your sample size to conduct verification is based on the number of approved applications on file as of October 1. We do have updated templates for school year 21-22, which are located under forms. Those were posted on Friday, October 1st. And as a reminder, even if you don't conduct the verification process, you will be required to complete the online verification summary form. You can refer to memo SFS 21-X251 for the verification non-response rate that you would use for school year 21-22. So the procurement update on September 29th, our governor did extend provisions for the suspension of the public bid law. This proclamation extends through Wednesday, October 27th. and it can be extended by subsequent proclamations or terminated sooner. Also, as a reminder that federal procurement regulations allow for emergency non-competitive proposals to negotiate a new one-year contract for school year 21-22. So we recently saw that there was some additional waivers that were released related to unanticipated school closures. So these waivers are meant to address meal service during unanticipated school closures. The waivers are for cases when SFSP operations are in place during closures. The options such as non-congregate feeding were not made available during unanticipated school closures before the release of these waivers. So they're the same types of waivers that we've seen for the school year, but these are related to unanticipated school closures. So if there were closures related to COVID or hopefully not related to any more hurricanes, but if so, then these waivers would be something that could be utilized. So if there are still closures related to the hurricane, you can reach out to us and we can assist with how we may go about helping you reach your kids. So now we'll move to the training updates. So all of our trainings are on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. You, when you registered for this training, when you put in your information, that confirms that you were here. And so you will receive an email stating that confirming your attendance and the training hours. We do also ask that you complete the questionnaire or an evaluation, which is available on the Louisiana Fit Kids site in the same location where you would have found this link or would have registered for this training. All of our October trainings are now open and for registration. You can also access the training slides and recorded videos on Louisiana Fit Kids. Upcoming trainings. So we have a verification training this Thursday. Next Tuesday, October 12th, we have a training on writing food specifications. Thursday, October 14th, we have a civil rights training. Tuesday, October 19th is that preparing for your administrative review training. Thursday, October 28th is the National School Lunch Program meal pattern and offer versus serve training. And our next monthly call will be on Tuesday, November 2nd at 1 p.m. You can still request training for manager training for your SFA or a combination of SFAs. There must be a minimum of 10 participants, it can be virtual or in person, and the schedule can be customized to your needs. Some other program reminders, eScholar updates. So we have worked very closely with eScholar on a project that will improve the matching system. The improved system will allow students to match student enrollment data against program records to determine eligibility. The updated system will support multiple programs, including SNAP, TANF, also foster care, migrant students, also DC extended and manual matching. So we are working on the TANF updates. So we intended those to be, they are available in eScholar. We are working with some of the food service softwares to make sure that that file will be able to be accepted into the food service software. The file download matches the same as the SNAP file. So both SNAP and TANF file should be accepted by the food service software and not override the SNAP data. And the files will be both in the DM index and the 3.0 file for download. The CEP manager portion of the eScholar website will be released in time for the April 2020 elections and population data. So CEP for school year 21-22 is closed. So that was September 30th. And so as we're moving into our April population data and CEP elections, we will move to the eScholar CEP manager. In anticipation of this change, We are encouraging all SFAs to make sure that their matches are done in eScholar. This includes manual matches and address matches, which those will need to be completed in eScholar as well to ensure that population data will be in the system. So just a reminder that our pre-approved equipment list is available. If the equipment is not on that list, then you must request approval before purchase. You'll need to complete the Louisiana equipment purchase pre-approval form and send that to the website. So DSNAP did receive, DCFS did receive a 3-day DSNAP extension. That's for October 11th through 13th. There's a press release with more information. DCFS also has resources, questions and answers on their website. You can refer to some of the additional DSNAP information that we've posted, and then also the DSNAP flyer, as well as the DSNAP presentation. You know, one of the things, remember that DSNAP is the same as SNAP. So the more families that qualify for DSNAP, then those families will appear on a SNAP list somewhere down the line, and those can count as DC, which will also increase the identified students for CEP. So this is a great time to really push for your families that have been affected by the hurricane in those areas to apply for DSNAP benefits, as we will see that those will also impact the CEP numbers as we move into next school year. Also, National School Lunch Week. So that is scheduled for October 11th through 15th. I know many of our school systems have that week as part of their fall break. So if you would like to observe that a different week, you are welcome to do so. If you have pictures or stories, so you can send those to Kathy Carmichael. We would love to highlight that information on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. And I've included Kathy's email address here. One thing that I know that as I was going through it, I realized that I totally forgot is that we also have the equipment grant, which opened October 1. So the equipment grant is open. So if you have not received an equipment grant yet, please log on to the website and complete the equipment grant application. And so please do that as well. I know as I was going through this, I realized that was something I totally forgot to include. But please submit your applications for the equipment grant as well. Now I'm gonna look at the questions and see if there's anything that I can answer and see where we can, how I can help. Okay, there's a question about the start of the reviews. So we do intend the reviews to begin November. There are a few school systems that were very much impacted by the hurricane that we intend to save those reviews to further in the year, so closer to after February 1st. So there are some that are going to be much later, and those are the ones that are hit by the hurricane. There's not a new deadline for submission of PEBT benefits for summer. They just need to be submitted as soon as possible. Okay, PEBT money is meant to support the any activities related to PEBT administration for school year 2021. So that PEBT PEBT local level funding could be used for someone who's answering the phones. If you're, if you're processing meal applications related to PEBT, so that money is meant to support the activities of the PEBT for school year 2021. We do expect that all of the site selections for administrative review be posted to the CNR support system very soon. If they're not there yet, they should all be there by the training on October the 19th. So if a school does not have so virtual schools is something that has come up a lot. And so virtual schools are, if you think about before COVID, so before COVID, we had schools that didn't have a brick and mortar building. So these children learned virtually at their homes, and there's a central place where like the teachers may be housed, or where the administrative work's done, but all the students are learning virtually. Those children before COVID never had access to meals. They never had access to meals. But what happened with COVID is that many of our brick and mortar buildings, so our schools that had kids sitting in them, were then sent home to learn virtually. So kids that normally had access to free and reduced price meals now did not have access to those meals. And that's where these waivers began. That was the intent of these waivers, is to reach those kids that initially were sitting in classrooms that were no longer sitting in those classrooms. So, last year we had virtual kids that were pretty much enrolled in a brick and mortar school, but they were learning virtually. Whereas now we're moving to where there's these centralized virtual schools that are meant to house all the students. And so virtual schools, by definition, do not allow for access to meals. So those students currently that are enrolled in virtual schools can receive meals under Seamless Summer, and they could receive meals last year under summer feeding if those are open sites, because we can feed any children 18 or under, any child under 18 under at either at a site that's an open site. So that's how those children are still allowed to be fed. But as we move into next year, and even now, like we can't have those schools listed as sites because they don't have a brick and mortar base. So there's not these children aren't going to come back to a brick and mortar building when COVID is over. They're going to continue to learn virtually. So that's something that we need to think about. So, if kids are coming and they're eating on campus, or they're going to return when COVID's over, that's what these waivers are intended to do. So the Tanf file, we have been working to get the file to be something that can be used by child nutrition software, which is what we've been working on. So, Tanf is a form of direct certification when that list is utilized. So our goal was to make it to where you can upload or download that from eScholar and then upload it back to your food service software to utilize to qualify kids for direct certification through TNF. Are there any other questions? Okay, since there are no more questions, there's questions about how we properly conduct a desk audit. So typically, like from our end, what we're going to do is we'll do a virtual meal observation. So we'll use something like Zoom, FaceTime, one of these other, platforms to observe the meal observation. Well, if we're looking for specific documents on site, it's something that you'd be able to show on, to the camera. If your SFA is looking for that information for their on-site monitoring, it would be kind of the same thing. So if if you're unable to make it to your sites, you could use FaceTime or some other virtual means to look over. You can have the documentation sent in. If at all it's safe to do so. I mean, with I'm sure most of you are already spending tons of time in your kitchens with staffing shortage. So if at all possible, I do encourage you to continue to do those February 1st monitoring visits on site. But if you need to do so, they can be completed off site, just reviewing the documentation and possibly, doing a virtual site visit. All right, it appears there are no more questions. Feel free to reach out to us through our website our email address or phone number. So childnutritionprograms@la.gov, or you can reach us by phone at 225-342-9661. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you on the Thursday verification call. Also, the others that are between now and the end of the month, the October 19th administrative review training, and then our next monthly call, which is on November the 2nd. Thank y'all. Y'all have a rest of a good afternoon and the rest of the week, and hopefully some really great weather and less rain this week.